Hi, and welcome to Children's Time. I'm so excited today because today is the day we get to light the first Advent candle as we're getting ready for Christ to come on Christmas Day. And this candle is called joy. We think about the joy that Jesus brought. You see the joy behind me on both sides? Joy candle. And that's because when the angel went to Elizabeth to tell her she was going to have a baby and she'd waited for lots of times and never had one. And then she went to Mary and said, "You're going to have a baby too." And then when the shepherds and the wise men saw the star, they knew that the prophecy was fulfilled and they had great joy because they knew they were going to see Jesus. This is all in stories in Matthew 2 and Luke 2. So read them or you'll probably hear them in other places. So it's a day of joy. So it makes sense that the book I chose today is called Great Joy. And it's about a very caring little girl. She's about, I'm not sure, 6. Anyway, she has a role in the Christmas pageant as the star. And she not only does a wonderful job to that, she brings a lot of God's love to all who she meets. So let's listen. Great Joy by Kate DiCamillo. Pictures by Bagram Ibatulin. The week before Christmas, a monkey appeared on the corner of Fifth Street and Vine. He was wearing a green vest and red hat, and with him was an organ grinder who played music for the people on the street. In the daytime, when the sun shone, the sequins on the monkey's vest shone. And from the window of her apartment, Frances could see the tin cup held out to the people who walked by. Sometimes, if it was very quiet, just for a minute, she could hear the music, and it came down the street and into her window, and even though the music grinder and the monkey were just across the street, the sound sounded sad and lonely and far away, like music from a dream. "Where do they go at night?" asked Frances. "Who?" said her mother. "Well, that man and his monkey." "Oh, Frances, don't ask questions that I can't answer. I'm sure that they go somewhere." "I'm sure," said her mother, "everyone goes somewhere. But where do they go?" she said again. "I have no idea, Frances." "Now I'm ready. Turn around. Oh, good. All I have to do is hem your angel costume," said her mother. "Have you learned your lines? Are you excited about the pageant?" That night, Frances made herself stay awake. Finally, at midnight, she tiptoed over to the window and looked out. All she saw was the organ grinder. But where was the monkey? At last she found him, tucked snugly under the organ grinder's coat. "Look at me," Frances thought as she stared at the organ grinder, and sure enough, he slowly looked up and took off his hat and raised it to her. The next day, at breakfast, Frances said to her mother, "They sleep on the street even though it's snowing." "Well, maybe they could come to dinner," said Frances. "Oh, Frances," said her mother, "they can't come to dinner. They're strangers." All that day it snowed, and when evening came and it was time to go to the pageant, Frances had to wear her boots. The snow was so deep. She and her mother left the house to go to church. On the corner, Frances saw the organ grinder and the monkey. She ran over and gave a coin to the monkey. "I get to be in the Christmas pageant," said Frances. "I have one line, and you should come. It's at the church just down the street." He just smiled at her, but his eyes looked very sad. At the church, everyone was all ready in their costumes. "Hurry," said the church director as he slipped her angel wings on. The shepherds walked out first, and then Frances did. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She couldn't speak. all she could think about was the cold, sad organ grinder and his so sad eyes. The church was very quiet. Suddenly, the door opened and the organ grinder walked in. And Frances cried out, "Behold, I bring you glad tidings of great joy." And because the words sounded so right, she said again, "Great joy." Amen. The end. Frances, wow, she was so joyful, wasn't she? She loved that organ grinder and the monkey. She cared for them so much. And she knew finally that she couldn't do it all by herself, but if she could get him to come to church, that the people would show God's love to him and help him. What a joyful, joyful story. Well, a lot of us aren't like Frances. When we're feeling kind of empty or helpless, we go out and maybe we buy clothes. Frances really didn't care about her angel wings. We buy clothes or tools or computers to try to fill up that emptiness that we have. Or maybe we eat lots of good food. I'm speaking to this on Thanksgiving, so it's a great day to say it. We stuff ourselves, so we don't have to have our feelings. But really, what we really need, because those things don't last. I mean, remember when you first learned how to drive and you were so excited the world was going to be yours, and then you found out you had to run errands all the time? Or when you learned to do your lawnmower, your dad let you do it by yourself, then you had a job every Saturday. So these things that we think are going to make us happy don't last forever. But God does last forever. He is always there. So I'm going to do a little experiment for you and kind of show you visually what that looked like. Are you ready? This is my little science experiment here. So, first of all, these are things like clothes and toys and computers and things like that. This is yummy food that we're going to fill up on. Okay, is my glass full yet? No, it's hardly full at all, isn't it? So I'm going to stir it all up here. All right, now I'm going to pour in some God's love, and let's see what happens. Whoa! Overflowing with God's love. That is great. Remember to show God's love in everything that you do and fill yourself up with that. Take the time, 15 minutes a day, just to say thank you to him or to ask him to help you get through something that's hard for you, or to ask you to let you know what he wants you to do this day, this beautiful day, because every day starts afresh and we have a whole new day to do things. So have a blessed week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Also want to tell you that the sound on this isn't very good because my computer, after 9 months of doing this, is kind of, the sound is not happy anymore. But I am getting a new one, so I hopefully next week the sound will be back to where it should be. Thank you. Amen.